Hiya, hiya. Welcome on in. And thanks for being with us on Three Guys Before the Game. This is episode number 412, and this is the WVU TCU preview. I guess we could kind of throw in the Bowling Green preview as well. Got a basketball contest.
I haven't looked at bowling.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Nothing on it.
Senators in. That's Bradley Howell. And the Dean, Hoppy Kercheval, in as well. On our program, we will bust down the numbers on WVU and TCU. Also, as usual, we will dive into what has become a major piece of this program, and that is our listener texts. It really has taken on a life of its own. It began, kind of just really very benign. And it has developed into basically the content for the show, which is completely good. I was thinking about that. I've been reflecting on this podcast, and it has taken on a life of its own, I think is the best way to say it. It is continues to be quite organic. We don't know what direction that we're going to head into once the show starts, as you could probably tell. And that's good. I think that's good. I mean, we unintentionally... We don't intentionally try to be funny, and that's always the best way to do it, I think. It just starts to things, well, the reason it goes stupid most of the time is Hoppy. Let's just lay it right out on the table most of the time.
Is that true? I don't know if that's true.
Yeah, it is. It's not me and it's not you.
And I'm the least funny guy of this.
That's
three.
true. 100% agree with that. Just the way that it goes.
I know that it always goes off the rails because of you, though.
I think it is. Three Guys Before the Game is brought to us by Burdett Camping Center, the only warranty forever RV dealer in all of West Virginia. Visit them at burdettcamping.com, BURDETTE camping.com, Burdett Camping. A lot of questions, are the two T's together? And I always say yes, the two T's are together.
Right next to each other.
And they're located in Winfield. And they got a great promo for this week's game that you can follow along, whether you're there, at home, whatever it might be. Three Guys Before the Game is also brought to us by Comax Business Systems. They are your full-service Conica Minolta dealer. Go to Comax Business Systems, comaxwv.com, KOMAXWV.com. Just one X by itself. And when they say full service, they mean like the whole thing. When I say the whole thing, I mean the whole thing, like from a number 2 pencil to like the highest level of instrumentation that you need.
Do you even have a pencil?
It's a good question. Probably don't. I got like a 5th grader's pencil case that I carry with me that has all my Sharpies in it. Big bag, just full of Sharpies, markers, but I do not carry a pencil in it. A lot of Sharpies.
Do you have a pencil on your desk?
I do, but I can't.
Are your
find
notes written in pencil?
No, that's pen, but I can't find a sharpener. I can't find a pencil sharpener. There is.
Yeah, that's a tough one right there. That is. I mean, they're going extinct. Pencil sharpeners are probably.
I'll bring you one. We got a couple at the house.
You got a couple?
Yeah.
Like I'm sure.
But remember, I have younger kids, so
they probably
number
have
2
a little
pencils
one
are still in. Yeah. Big, so we got to find them. Yeah. I'll
you
take
think
care
about pencil sharpeners like in school. Remember, they used to have it mounted on the windowsill, and you'd give it that.
Yes.
But like that was such an overkill, considering that those little ones are like chalk for a cue stick. They're really the best ones. You just kind of go.
Those were a lot of work, though. The hand crank was better.
Hand crank was better.
Hand crank was always like in a grandpa's workshop too, in the garage, right? In like in a weird spot. There's always a pencil sharpener back there.
The good thing you have there
you got
is
some nails and some screws, some extra oil for the car, and there's a pencil sharpener up against a 2x4 there that you can just go in the back.
The thing about that is it keeps the shavings enclosed. When you use the one like the cue stick thing, you gotta be over
the waste.
Got to be over something.
Yeah.
over the waste basket.
All right, we're off. Just exactly what I'm sure that that's exactly what you thought was going to start the show about TCU and WVU.
Pencil sharpeners.
All right.
Hello.
So really super quick, our folks at Burdett continue to be extremely creative with their promotions. Here's this week's promotion as the Mountaineers take on TCU. They will give you $200 for every quarter that West Virginia wins on Saturday. So the potential is there for $800. You could win $800 if West Virginia beats TCU in each of the 4 quarters. If they win 2, you get $400. I mean, you guys can do the math. You win 1, you get $200.
Just by outscoring is what you're saying.
Yeah, so you look at the quarter scoring and you go like West Virginia had 14, TCU had 10, win West Virginia $200. So it could be up to $800. It could be 0 if they don't win a quarter. It could be $800. So that's on parts, sales, and service when you spend $1,000.
Total on the first quarter right now via DraftKings. So just points scored. The line on the points scored in the first quarter. This is high. You don't usually see it this high. 15.5. 15.5 total points combined first quarter.
So they're expecting like a 10 and they're expecting a 10 and they're saying 10 and a field goal or 2 touchdowns.
Do you get like 3 scores, 2 touchdowns, and a field goal, or is it 2 scores? Do you like the unders? Juiced a little bit to the under.
These guys have been getting outscored in the first half, haven't they?
They've been falling behind.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And they've been rallying in the second half.
Yes,
as
they
per
have.
Kansas State.
Yes, they have. How are your numbers as you broke this one down? Last week, and we've got a text that refers to this, I didn't catch it as much as the listener base did, but they were really taken aback by you and the emotion that you displayed on how the line fluctuated last week.
Oh, he was beside himself.
You were beside yourself. I didn't really take it at the matter because you're always going beside yourself and a bunch of other things.
I didn't think I was beside myself, but I was shocked by it.
Shocked. Well,
Shocked,
I did get my own disclaimer that I said, watch, probably come in here and get beat by 28. Then I'll say, oh, that's why the line was what it was.
You did say that.
Almost nailed that.
You did say that.
Yeah.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. So let's do a couple different things here. This is one of the all-time great situations for West Virginia.
All time?
Can you believe that? Maybe at least this season.
Okay.
But across all of college football, it's one of the better situational spots you'll ever find. Let's do a little 5-4-3-2 for you. Ready?
Yeah.
5-4-3-2. TCU's off 5 emotionally hard-fought wins in a row, starting with SMU.
5.
Which is not only a big rival, it's where Sonny Dykes came from. The last 4 of those hard-fought wins are all over ranked teams. The last 3, TCU's had to come from behind to get the win. And the last 2, they've faced deficits of 17 and 18 points. Man, at some point, isn't TCU due?
Bubbles got to burst.
It'd be nice
right?
if it was this week. They are either a team of destiny that is on a magical ride, which it appears to this point, or they're playing with some fire here, and it's going to come back to get them at some point. So that's the first thing. They also have to hit the road and come up here and play in a game that's an 11 a.m. body clock, or just 11 a.m. according to the Big 12.
They don't travel a whole lot.
3 times outside the state of Texas.
Excuse me?
3.
The whole
out of
year?
12. 3 games outside the state of Texas.
Like this is their last flight of the year. Saw that in their notes.
That's pretty wild.
Like that's pretty good. They just take buses. It's just kind of like they're just getting bused. Yeah,
this will tell us a lot about this West Virginia team and program. Where are they? Because they should come out pretty PO'd. They're backed into a corner. They hear nothing but coaches getting fired, hot seat, hot seat, hot seat. What do they have in them? Can they come out and fight? If they're going to fight, you would think this would be a game to do it. Add in, West Virginia's won, 4 straight in this series?
Yes.
Yes.
6-0 ATS run against TCU. West Virginia is.
Explain that, what that means for
against
people.
the spread. So West Virginia has covered the number in the last 6. Why are you looking at me like that?
Because I want to know what you're doing on it.
Well, I'm not there yet. You take all those things into account, it's a great spot. So if you follow any of this stuff, you'll hear a lot of people this week talk about it's a great spot for West Virginia. Is spot enough to win you the game? Hoppy, is the situation enough to win you the game?
No, but it's a good situation. I mean, all those things point to a situational advantage for West Virginia. But you got to execute, and we'll get into that.
Okay. Let's get into some of the numbers on the field because you do have a situational advantage. Now, can you make that stand up on the field? Here's the concern, and it's an obvious one. It's the TCU offense. They have not scored less than 38 points this season.
Ouch.
38. So how does a West Virginia defense that's been struggling like it is hold TCU to a season low? Because you're not winning this game 24-17, right? Can you hold them to a season low? Or if they get to 38, can you still win? We'll get to that in a minute. So his defense is going to have to step up. TCU's averaging 7.41 yards per play.
Frightening.
That's only behind Ohio State and Tennessee. Are those two programs having good offensive years?
Yep.
West Virginia is giving up 6.09 yards per play. It's just a massive number. That's 109th out of 131 teams. But more bad news. In Big 12 games, that number jumps to 6.83 yards per play, which would be bottom 6 in the entire nation. So you're getting one of the best offenses against statistically what is one of the worst defenses. So that's not encouraging. West Virginia is bottom 10 nationally in coverage grade. In fact, only 2 Power 5 teams have a worse coverage grade than West Virginia, according to Pro Football Focus. TCU has a top 15 grade. West Virginia is giving up 47.5 points per game at home.
Say that again.
47.5 points per game at home in Big 12 play.
No. West Virginia is giving up 47.5 points per game at home.
How many did Kansas score?
50-something.
55. How many did Baylor score?
40-some.
What's that average out to?
About 50-some.
May I continue?
I tell you what, Brad is on a sharp
Go ahead.
plane today.
Now, some of that, though. 13 of those came in overtime to that Kansas team. One of them was on a pick six, which I didn't even think that counted anymore. But that's beside the point. West Virginia's been giving up a ton of points at home. Can that trend change against what is the best offense that West Virginia has faced among those teams?
Frightening numbers. Frightening numbers. Make me a little short of breath. Frightening numbers.
All right, that's the defense. Can West Virginia score enough, even if it gets a few stops?
So, based on what you said, they haven't been held to less than 38. So we have to assume, let's just assume that you hold TCU to a season low 31.
Give it 35.
I was going to go 35.
Okay, go 35.
31?
Let's go 35. Let's go 35.
Because if you hold them to 35, I truly think, depending on how that 35 looks, but I think as I go into it now, if you held them to 35, I might go, okay, you're alive. Because the TCU defense is going to be their weak point if they have one. You should be able to score some points here. So, okay, go ahead. Finish your thought there. You hold them to 35, or that was your point.
That was my point. Now you go ahead and tell me that they can get
So
more
West
than
Virginia at
35.
home in Big 12 play has scored 42 and 43. Okay, that's good news. Now, they needed some defensive and special teams points to get to that 43 against Baylor. So that's a little bit of a concern. But take the 42 against Kansas. TCU's defense has a similar yards per play defensive average as what Kansas does currently. So can you move the ball at a similar rate and score? TCU's given up at least 24 in every Big 12 game. So now you're starting to get a range. 38 to 24. Can you get in there? The challenge here that West Virginia is going to have to identify, it should be able to complete some passes. TCU is one of the worst in the country when it comes to opponent completion percentage. Okay, that's good for West Virginia, who's going to want to throw it. They have to complete it. West Virginia, though, is just 95th nationally in yards per attempt. So it's not getting the ball down the field, which, again, you know that if you've been watching this team. So the question is, can West Virginia take advantage of that and do a couple things? Be better than they've been at getting it down the field, number one, or number two, just complete enough that you can march down the field on this team and score enough points, thereby keeping their offense on the sideline and keeping their number down a little bit. Yeah. That's what you're going to have to see. You're going to have to. This will surprise me if you don't get to if you win by scoring less than 40. That would surprise me.
However, if everything was good to go, you'd say, okay, I could see that happening. The fact that your running back group has been decimated, right, to the point where it's going to be C.J. Donaldson and Jalen Anderson, that makes it really hard.
Add in no starting left guard that has played almost 1,600 snaps for you.
Correct.
That's a little bit of a concern as well.
Correct. Yeah. But, okay. Got it.
So there's just some numbers. That's not a prediction. Those are just some numbers to watch. But you're gonna have to move it on them. They're gonna have to play down. You're gonna have to play one of your better games, and I think it's gonna have to look like the Baylor game did. I think it's gonna have to be one of those. You can't predict a defensive score, but that would sure help. A block punt. They just dropped the ball. You're going to need some help here, I think, because their offense, man, it is really dynamic. Duggan's been tremendous, their quarterback, 19 touchdowns, 1 interception.
Crazy.
They have a great running back, and they have what may be a top 15 pick at wide receiver. I mean, they're covered at all those skill positions.
Yeah. And then special teams. They don't let you return punts because Jordy Sandy, the 29-year-old Australian, just doesn't let you. Just puts it into a different orbit, and you can't return. And then Darius Davis is a dude. He returned a kick for 100 yards and a touchdown last year against West Virginia, and he is just problematic every time he touches the ball on returns. So,
and I think he's got 3 punt returns the last 3 seasons, doesn't he? Or last 2 seasons? I think he's taken multiple back to the house. And that goes without saying. If you turn it over like you did last week, if you give up a punt return, if you have a special teams gaffe and turnovers, I don't know that you have any shot here. You've got to play clean. And you've got to reverse it and get some help from them.
Let's I wanted to talk about narrative, but let's while you're on that, Brad, let's talk about some personnel. You talk about Duggan. And interesting that they started the season with Chandler Morris at quarterback. I mean, Duggan's been around forever, and they started with Chandler Morris against their first opponent, Colorado State, and he gets hurt. And Duggan comes in, and Duggan's been nothing but excellent since then, completing 70% of his passes. Brad, you said it, 19 touchdown passes. Their offensive line averages 320 pounds. If you watch, they protect him. He gets time. They got speedy wideouts. They got a tight end who's a house, Wiley, number 19, 6'7", 260 pounds. He caught 5 passes in the last against Kansas State.
He's getting hot.
Including 1 for a touchdown. You talk about their running game. Kendre Miller, 220 pounds. Number 33, he's run for 100 yards plus in the last 2 games. He averages 6.1 yards per carry. So, again, just some personnel and some numbers to back up what you're saying. This is the best offense that you'll face all season. And they're making big plays. Brad, you had that scary stat for West Virginia about giving up yards after catch. And these wide receivers, they get yards after catch.
They do. That's why, and I don't know why they wouldn't in this game. I don't know why this offense wouldn't continue to produce. So that's why I think it's just incumbent on this West Virginia offense to come through. Here's one last situational piece that maybe doesn't matter, maybe won't come into play. Maybe West Virginia gets greased and gives up 55, and we come in here Monday and say, well, none of that stuff mattered. But I'll just throw this out too. When you look at TCU and are they due for some regression? If you go through their Big 12 games, against Oklahoma, Dylan Gabriel, starting quarterback, out. Got dinged during the game.
Yeah.
Probably didn't matter when he went out. They were probably still winning that game. They were running away with it, but Oklahoma had no chance to come back with its backup. Jalen Daniels at Kansas against TCU. What happened to that game?
Got hurt.
Blanked.
Oklahoma State. Spencer Sanders clearly hampered. Didn't go out, but was clearly hampered during that game, especially in the second half. Didn't have one of his better games. Kansas State, just last week for TCU. What happened?
Martinez hurt.
Out.
What else happened?
Will Howard out?
Came back. Will Howard ended up coming back in, but they were with their 3rd quarterback there for a while. So TCU's received some tremendous quarterback luck. And we talked about that at the beginning of this season. Remember? Hop, I said, if I'm holding that over 5.5 win ticket, which doesn't look real good right now.
No.
But I was holding it. And one of the things, what did I say? You're going to need some quarterback luck. You're going to have to run up against a team that doesn't have its quarterback in one of these games. TCU has had it in 3 of 4, and in the 4th, the starter was dinged. That's some impressive luck right there.
In the K-State game, Martinez got hurt early, and Kansas State still had 300 yards in the first half and was winning. I mean, was winning the game.
With Will Howard.
With Will Howard.
Yes.
So, I mean, this is not the best defense. It's the best offense you're going to face. It's not the best defense with that 3-3 stack. So maybe you can get – but here's also what do you get from West Virginia because you were offensively impotent last week.
Yes.
No separation by the wide receivers. Couldn't get big plays. Running game obviously wasn't there for, you got injuries and couldn't, move the line. So you're going to have to, I see what you're saying, and there are defensive deficiencies by TCU, but West Virginia will have to be better offensively to take advantage of those things. I thought it was interesting, too, what Neil Brown said, because he's trying to change the narrative. And I want to talk about the national narrative at some point. But he said this week was about perspective, individual choice. Individual choice was his quote. Have to play better, have to coach better. Try not to focus on wins and losses, but on individual performance. Now, why do you say that now? Because you're losing. So you don't want to focus on, you don't want to put everything on winning. You want to talk about individual performance and try to get individual players to be better. I mean, that's what the narrative has pivoted to as you try to just get people to play better and to coach better. You can't put everything on winning when you're probably going to lose. And then you're in danger of losing the team. You got to try to coach individuals to be better individually. And then hopefully that collectively that comes together for a win.
Agree with what you just said, and I get it. And yes, that's probably what he's doing. But he's also right in that at some point you better win some individual battles.
Yes. Yeah.
Guys up front are going to have to move the guy across from them. I thought he highlighted this extremely well. Daniels was not good statistically the other day, right? Had 3 interceptions. You don't see that very often. But in all 3 cases, as Neil pointed out, those were balls that were thrown up. Those are one-on-one balls. So 3 things can happen. You catch it, the defender catches it, or the ball is knocked away. 2 of those are in your favor. 2 of the 3 things work at least in your favor, right? Or one's really negative.
But
one's really negative.
One, yeah. Okay.
The 2 that work in your favor is you better prevent the interception. West Virginia didn't prevent the interception on any of the 3. They got the worst case scenario in all 3 of those. At some point, if receivers aren't catching it, he's entirely right. You got to bat that away. So sometimes it's as team game as there is. More than baseball, more than basketball. If the team's not in concert, you've got big problems. But there's a lot of individual battles you have to win, and I don't know that West Virginia won many of them on last Saturday. You better win more of them this Saturday. Those receivers better find ways to get open, and you better protect him so he can throw the football. If not, it's a long day.
3 Guys Before the Game is brought to us by Comax Business Systems, your full-service Konica Minolta dealer. Go to Comax Business Systems at comaxwv.com. What does business systems mean? And what are we talking about when we say Comax Business Systems? Well, if you're a business owner, whatever you got that makes your business go when it comes to your equipment, your hardware, and your IT services, they're all in on that. They'll manage your voice, they'll manage your phone services, they'll manage your IT services, and they provide 24/7 remote monitoring so that you can feel good as you go about working your business or away from your business, that everything's cool. You don't want your data stolen, compromised, people getting into your stuff. You don't want that to happen. And Comax can help you, and they'll do it absolutely free when they come in for their consultation with you to let you know what you got. They are as good as advertised. An elite dealer, voted that 10 times by ENX Magazine, which is an exclusive award that no other dealer in West Virginia has ever received. Visit them at comaxwv.com. That's comaxwv.com. Well, it's time. Are we ready? Are we ready? Are we ready? Ready. If you're new to the podcast, this is called Textual Healing. It's a takeoff of the great Marvin Gaye's Sexual Healing song. This started when I think the Mountaineers may have had some difficulty. I can't exactly remember what game it was, but I said, we need textual healing because we needed to cleanse ourselves, and this has become a regular segment in which we just let it out. Yep. Kind of like if we were out in the West Coast, this would be like deep breathing, be a little bit of that, right? Yeah, you just kind of hold your stuff out there. Yeah, just kind of hold cleansing. I think the last episode provided a lot of cleansing and a lot of clarity for people. They came out feeling better. Brad, in fact, you said you felt better at the end of the last show because of it.
I did.
Laughter
helps.
Absolutely.
It's a great medicine, as some say.
Absolutely.
Well,
it's true. And we had...
also fits of crying. We have that too.
Yeah.
Sobbing in the corner. Dark room.
We begin in the state of South Carolina today from Roger, who used to live in Preston County. Great job Monday with your banter, getting our minds off the Lubbock debacle. Something said made me remember a funny observation from the 1980s before I left Morgantown. I was at a gas station on the mile ground, paying for my gas, when a low-slung Simca or some such pulled up to the pumps. Brian Joswiak and another former player who I can't recall his name emerged. He was as bulky, although shorter, than Big Joe's, and he had a bigger blondish mohawk. He was talking about Jack Kessler.
Yeah, Jack Kessler, yeah.
I swear the car rose at least 4 inches as they emerged. Poor car, hauling all that beef. Another memory was working at the old Holiday Inn, stocking the buffet and seeing Junius Lewis's knees where everyone else's torsos would be through the view into the dining room. TC and Brad may not remember Junius, but I'm sure Hoppy does. Keep up the good work. We know Junius very, very well.
Not only do I know Junius, his daughter helped deliver Mari's second daughter.
Oh, really?
She was the central figure in that.
Yeah.
And I worked at Holiday Inn.
You did?
Yes. When I was in college, I worked at Holiday Inn.
When I first came here, that Friday happy hour buffet was like the big thing.
Yeah.
You would go over there and just crush the wings. Yeah.
Yeah. Legendary stories about that.
Yes.
Before I left.
I do remember.
Club.
Is that what they called it?
The Executive Club.
Talk about an oxymoron. Next text says, "Dear Scopes, Spreads, and Hopgasm." Oh boy, here we go. I've listened to you three genius clowns.
What was that from? The beer?
Yeah.
I've listened to you three genius clowns since the inception of the podcast, and I've never felt a need to text because the listeners from Madagascar to Matewan, Weirton to Welch, and all points in between do such a great job of asking questions. But I've been stuck on a thought. I, like many others, have begun to question the climb. However, I, as I'm sure you do, genuinely like and respect Neil Brown as a person. He's a fine ambassador for the state, someone I honestly think is a great role model for our student athletes. I also think he has CEO capabilities and tendencies that any program would covet. My question is, would you rank wins as a head coach above all else? In other words, on the list of job responsibilities on the head coach matrix, do wins sit atop the matrix so high that we ignore the other CEO responsibilities? Do we give some losses a pass because Neil might be cultivating a group of good young men? Do Neil's other capabilities buy him some time to gain more wins? Keep in mind that I'm certainly a realist and know that money is the driving force, but channeling my inner hoppy, I can't help but pontificate on what is that truly matters as a university. Signed, Curious and Culloden.
Here's a take, and this game, and in reference to what he said in this game, is that there are a couple narratives here. Let's say that TCU wins big. The national narrative is that, wow, there's going to be TCU might get in that Final Four. You know, there'll be some talk about that. It'll be popular to talk about something different rather than the usual schools. And for West Virginia, it'll be, wow, this thing now is completely off the rails if you get blown out. Let's say it's close, but TCU still wins. Then the national is TCU wins and advances. And for West Virginia, I think you get a little bit of a reprieve, like, wow, they played really well, got beat by a better team. If West Virginia would win, nationally, the narrative is not going to be on West Virginia. It's going to be TCU. Maybe they were overvalued. Maybe they hit a flat spot. It's hard to go through the season undefeated. And for West Virginia, Neil Brown gets his best win, maybe, I don't know, ever. And people are, energized again because we tend to be prisoner of the moment. So those are the narratives that are possible coming out of this game. And then there's always going to be, if it does go poorly, and it's always about firing Neil Brown, is that I don't think you could or should unless things completely go off the rails and he's lost the team. And how do you afford to do that? I mean, how do you afford that? It's not just the $16 million, but it's the assistant coaches. It's retooling everything. It's finding somebody and starting over. Maybe you're not as good even when you start over. So I don't know what exactly is wrong or how you correct it, but you got to ride this thing a little bit longer.
That said, the answer to the texter's question is yes. It's yes. I mean, and administrators and anybody involved in college athletics can say differently, but it's just not. It's wins. If you don't win, you're out. It doesn't matter what else you're doing within the program. The other stuff has almost now come along as a bonus. If you're winning, then you can talk about, character molding and academics and all of that stuff. But we see guys get fired without getting a chance to even get their programs up and built and off the ground because of wins and losses. So the short answer is yes. It's just yes.
The only thing that matters is wins at this level. This is professional sports. And the only thing that matters nowadays is winning. The ramp up of the dollars has changed the view. In other words, Don Nehlen could get away with a 4-7. He'd get away with a 5-6. I think we may have also had like a 5-4-2.
I think you're right.
One time. But, and you kind of went like, okay. But the dollars are too big nowadays, and so the demand is higher. So this is all about wins. That's just the reality of it.
What constitutes winning? I mean, what constitutes, is it 7? Is it 8? Is it 6?
Welcome to the difficulty in determining. That's a great question, and it's not answerable. It's not answerable. Some of it has to do with expectations. Some of it has to be, it's almost that you know it when you see it, which is tough. That's why it's so hard, right? That's why it's so hard, because there isn't a hard and fast, get to 7 and you keep your job, less than 7 you lose. Get to 10, you keep your job, less than 10 you lose. It's not. It's a tough formula, and the noise makes it even more difficult because all of those different opinions get worked into there. Yeah. That's the question that you can't answer.
A lot of it is competitiveness and trajectory as to where are you going. Remember old Donnie N used to say, programs either get better, they get worse, they don't stay the same. They're going a direction. They're going a direction. That's what you have to make the call.
And guys, that's part of why this game's so big for West Virginia. Because 2 of the last 3, it has looked like it's not only in reverse, it is your foot is to the pedal, to the floor, going in reverse. 2 of the last 3, you've been non-competitive. One of those programs is somebody you should be better than in this league on a year-in, year-out basis, and you just weren't, and you weren't close. This one is massive on Saturday.
Texter, scopes, spreads, and Captain Kangaroo.
I watched a few episodes of that.
I listened to episode 4.
Mr. Green Jeans.
I listened to episode 411 while fixing dinner this evening. I'd managed to put the horror that was Texas Tech out of my mind, but listening to the episode brought it all back. However, the latter part of the episode was so funny that I forgot it all again. I had to turn on the video because I wanted to see if Brad was actually rolling on the floor laughing, and then seeing Hoppy mop his eyes with a handkerchief because he was crying from laughing so hard was epic. Tony, how you continue on with this podcast as if nothing is happening when those 2 clowns are carrying on is beyond me. Anyway, it was much needed levity after a terrible game, so thanks for all you guys do. Signed, Jenny from St. Albans, also known as a wife for life. Thank you very much. Butch from Reevesville. Tony and guys just finished watching Monday's episode. Note that he said he watched it. I really love your show. It reminds me so much of when I worked, getting together with my work buddies and lunch, telling stories. Someone would always come up with a story that would make everybody laugh until they cried. My thought is that everyone wants West Virginia to come up with $20 million to fire Neal and his staff. My suggestion is to come up with that money and bring in some top players through NIL or whatever it takes.
Pretty smart text there by Butch.
Yeah.
Well, that is...
At what point do you put aside? You're spending millions upon millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars. When do you put aside a pot? Is it before you fire a coach? Is it after you fire a coach and the guy before you bring somebody in makes that a demand?
It's a fundamental question because that does not necessarily translate into wins, as we're seeing at Miami, as we're seeing at Texas A&M, right? Correct. Just because you go out there and have a huge chunk of money, what you bring in it's not a guarantee. Now, having more talented players ultimately will get you wins, but I think you do have to head in that direction. And yesterday, did you see Dellinger? Did you see on the NAL?
I didn't see Ross, but I saw the other stuff. It's nonsense.
But the thing I found that was interesting is that they are now giving schools permission to, right,
oh, really?
To get involved. Yeah, like they
Oh, really? They're letting schools get involved? Who said that?
Previously, they could not
Who
get
said
involved.
that 6 months ago? Yeah. Of course they're letting schools get involved. They're going to keep giving them more control too, but go ahead. Yeah.
They're giving them more opportunity to build your booty of cash to go get players.
Some of it's
Thanks for the permission for stuff people are already doing, by the way.
And by the way, it's not just about going out and using NIL money to get players. West Virginia might be in that middle where you get plucked more than you pluck. Okay, so you have a couple good players. I mean, Mesdor's a great example. I mean, and there's other guys that left. So other schools that have more NIL money or maybe are more attractive for whatever reason, pluckers, and you are right now. You've been more of a pluckee. You're getting other players, but are you replacing the people you lost who got plucked with people of equal value?
You haven't to this point. That doesn't mean it will continue that way the whole time. Those defensive starters were not replaced one-to-one. Did you replace the quarterback okay using some NIL money?
Yes, you did.
Did that work?
Yes.
So we always forget, when we have these discussions, we always forget the good that has come in. Did you upgrade at quarterback? Yeah, you think you did. Okay. So why can't you go upgrade at receiver? Why can't you go get another offensive lineman? Why can't you go now identify that you need some more defensive backs? It's not a zero-sum game. You're not either losing all your guys or bringing in all the guys. You're just trying to mitigate the losses that are coming, and financially, you're going to have to do some stuff. Money helps that.
Okay, I understand that, but in year one, you did not. Except
Correct.
at quarterback. I mean, the most important position.
And I will continue to argue. I think you just went through an unprecedented time in this NIL.
Yes.
You had a rare situation that I think you'll be hard pressed to find again anytime soon that led to the departures of a lot of that. That was an unusual hit at one particular spot that has ultimately led to the destruction of one side of the ball that has probably cost you at least one game, maybe two this season.
Yes, I agree. I would just say that we don't know what we don't know because what will happen. I mean, I think the next couple of years will be interesting to see how this shakes, how it shakes out. What is it going to be like? We've seen 1 year and it felt chaotic, but what's it going to be like in future years? How many players can you hang on to? Or every year is there going to be your best players, are getting cash offers and they go.
Here, man, let me say.
You're going to lose 4 starters out of 4 positions in one position group? Moving forward, I'll take that bet right now. You want to bet me on that? Because I'll take it. I'll take that doesn't happen for at least another 10 years. 4 guys that would have started. That's 4 in the exact position that you're in the worst shape in. All of them.
Yeah, I understand.
Plus 4 starting defensive backs over the last 2 years. One position group.
What if you lose next year's starting quarterback?
That's one guy. It's still not what you just lost.
The most important position.
Then go get another quarterback. There's a tons of quarterbacks out there.
Who's equal to the guy you're
getting quantity of 4 at a position group that is decimated, that had no depth, that's what's critical in this.
Right,
that's not one guy.
I understand. I go back to my original point is that you were more plucked than plucked.
Doesn't need to be that way. I disagree with that premise. Disagree.
Well, yeah, you
disagree.
That's why I'm saying.
Don't bring that West Virginia defeatist attitude. Oh, we're West Virginia. Guess what? $5 is $5, and $100,000 is $100,000. And if we're out spending it, that $100,000 that we're giving is no different than the $100,000 someone else is going to give. You just go out there and you locate them, you find them, and you buy them.
All I said was that's what happened in year one.
No, but you're saying it's going to continue.
Correct. That's what I take issue with.
You say, woe is us. Oh, we're going to get plucked. Bull crap.
You can't say that. And I'm telling you, there was a situation in this that is going to be, you're going to be hard pressed to have that repeat itself.
So that's unknowable. Let's see what happens in year 2 and see where you are in year 2. That's all. Let's see where we are. See if you are better off or at least as good as you were after everything settles going into next year. Fair?
You want to take my bet that you won't lose 100% of one position group in the next 10 years?
I'm not taking that bet.
I guess you're not very convicted about it then.
Yeah. Man's right.
Awfully strong till I asked for a little money on the table.
No, you just dictated. You just said out of one position.
Man's right.
Because I think that, as I will say again now for the 4th time, a big part of why you're in this mess this season is because that one position group was decimated. I'm saying that you won't lose 4 of your 5 offensive linemen to transfer moving forward. That's what I'm saying. You're not going to lose 4 starting defensive backs in one fell swoop.
What if you lose 4 of your best players, regardless of any position?
Are you just don't want to listen, or you're not?
I'm listening to what you're saying. I'm listening to what you're saying.
Because if you don't want to listen, I'm not going to say it for a 5th time. If you'd like to listen, I'll say it again.
I heard you the first 4 times. Move on.
I'd like to move on. You won't let me move on because you're not acknowledging the argument. You keep trying to change the terms.
No, you're
Okay,
you're
move on.
you're
He's
trying
not-
to dictate
he won't
the terms
listen.
of the argument.
Because that's the whole argument, is that it was one position group, not best players. One position group. You won't lose one position group like that again.
Time for a segue. We now return to regularly scheduled text. Curtis in Oregon writes, "Thank you for the Huey Mack Dear West Virginia plug. I'm loving that song. Being in Oregon, it feels like he's singing." Violence just broke out. Hobby, you can't reach over there and take a shot at him with your papers. 6th grade?
Just listen. You don't have to hit me. Just listen.
I'm loving that song with Huey Mack. Feels like he's singing that for all of us who have had to move away. I also wanted to ask, with the recent John Calipari story about him giving VIP tickets to a local Kentucky coal miner who came to the game dirty in a uniform, I got to ask, what's the story with him saying his family American dream started in a coal mine in Clarksburg? Is Coach Cal one of our own and I somehow missed that? Curtis in Oregon. He had family in the Shinston-Clarksburg area. In fact, he's a former parade marshal at the Italian festival.
Really?
Yeah. Yep.
That story got a lot of.
My boy, he don't miss a beat.
No.
You think my boy missed a beat? He got that figured out. He knows how to play it.
That miner was on either Fox or CNN this morning.
Yeah, he knows how to play it, man. Just stroke it. He always has. Garrett in Alaska, I'd like to issue a public service announcement to all Three Guys listeners after this last show. Listening to the show should be done with caution when in public areas. Monday afternoon, I'm standing in line at the bank listening to the show on my headphones. When multiple hopgasms entered the show, I burst out laughing uncontrollably. After receiving several interesting looks, I exited the bank in tears from laughing so hard. I did eventually make it back in after retreating to my car for several minutes to continue laughing and crying. As always, thank you for the show, the laughs, the tears, sometimes at the same time. Let's go Mountaineers. I mean,
Glad we could bring a little levity.
how
Show
good would
seems-
that? Seriously, how good would that be if you had the video of him like he's standing in a bank line, he starts to try to hold the giggle in, and you know when you try to hold the giggle in, then he just bursts, and then he just walks, and the people got to be looking at him. What's wrong
It's
with
probably
this?
security video
Probably.
then.
Hi, guys. Ted in Warrenton, Virginia. I'm the train guy. I understand on how resources affect the future, but it feels like no one is discussing this. What does next year look like? What gives optimism that 2023 would be better, giving assumed attrition at key positions? In other words, won't next year be even worse? Are you just delaying the inevitable and feeding apathy?
I don't want to start that argument again.
Let's try to answer that.
I would say this, Ted, and it is no means attempting to be evasive. You just have no idea because you don't know who's leaving, so you don't know. Like if everything kind of, for the most part, holds intact, okay, you got an idea, but you don't know if there's just this mass of that. And then when you go back out onto the market to get your guys to refill, who are those guys?
Well, don't worry
It still
about that.
comes down to this. Invariably, it still comes down to this. It always will come down to this. What's in the heart of the players that you're bringing in? That ultimately decides teams that have great success or not. It really does. Now, athleticism, absolutely, you got to have. We're just beginning that at the. You got to have a certain level, but ultimately, the teams that have great success, the teams that are winning right now, at this point in the year when everyone's banged up and this is all about like it's mental.
How are you going to finish?
Yeah.
How are you going to finish?
Exactly.
I mean, do you finish the year? Because this is a tough schedule going forward starting Saturday. Do you finish where people going, you know what, they laid it out there and they have deficiencies? Or do you finish like, oh.
Yeah, exactly. Brad in Winchester. Hello, three outstanding gentlemen. I'm going to say that former WVU wide receiver Ollie Jennings transferred to Old Dominion, a step-down school, is one of the most disappointing losses of the Neil Brown area. He's third in the country in receiving. Neil letting him go, and Neil being a former wide receiver, indicated that he didn't see the same talent I saw in him. He'd be equal to Bryce Ford Wheaton, and I think that's what's lacking in the passing game. No clear number two to take pressure off of Bryce Ford Wheaton, please. No boat races at Milan Pushkar this weekend. Tony, Age 3 with Halloween approaching, I thought I'd tell you a brief kind of, oh, that's a different story. Okay, anyway. So Ollie Jennings, when he left, he wanted to play more. He wanted more passes. I mean, that's a hard one. I don't think that it wasn't that they didn't identify him. I mean, he wanted more passes thrown to him. And, you know, he went to Old Dominion. He got a lot more passes thrown to him. So, yeah, would you like to have him on this team right now? Yeah, but they loved him as a kid. He just wanted more balls. That's what he wanted. I don't know how you – sometimes guys are patient. Sometimes guys aren't patient. So that was the deal there. Texter, with Halloween approaching, I thought I'd tell you a brief kind of scary story. It goes like this. There was once an analytical guru by the name of Senator Spreads. He could find numbers to answer any question, but one day a line on a football game moved 3 points. 3 points? This caught his eye, and he went to work to find out why it moved 3 points. As black clouds and smoke swirled around his analytical compound, his trusty stats never produced an answer. Alas, he was summoned to a podcast production, and he had to pause his research. But while he was taking part of the podcast, he could not stop thinking about the 3-point move. He repeatedly asked his co-host, why did it move 3 points? Why so fast? Why did it move 3 points? Why so fast? Why? Sadly, he just couldn't stop asking those questions. And he had to be led out of the Dale B. Miller building in a straitjacket where he was transported to the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum. Some say he's in a safe room, running around saying, why did it move 3 points? Why so fast?
Brad,
Rumor has it,
sorry.
a week before his breakdown, an Iowa State fan sent him a poison potion disguised as maple syrup. Others say it was the result of a taste testing prototypes of a new beer called Kirch Ale. Sadly, we'll never know, but we all hope the poor buddy is okay. The end. Love you, Senator, the Greenbrier Ghost.
Brad, what did you learn from that?
Nothing.
Really?
I mean, West Virginia was clearly the wrong side of that, and the early move was correct. But if you back into that, why hasn't the line moved this week then? It's moved a half a point. Does that mean West Virginia's the right side?
Believe me, I have no idea.
Huh?
I was surprised
it
it was
right
7.
away last week, and the first move told you that it was going to be Texas. This has not moved.
If you would have asked me before the line came out, I would have said 10, 12, more, 14 maybe even. I mean, 14 might be a little bit high, but 7 surprised me.
Listen, there's first moves all the time that are wrong, but I thought what was interesting in that one last week, my question about that was it jumped that fast that early? It did come back. Then it came back the other way to 5, which it opened at 4. So that's about where I thought it should be 4 or 5. It did move quickly. This one's the other way. Hasn't moved yet.
Texter.
7.
Hasn't moved yet. 7.5. Look out, West Virginia. Look out.
Hey, 3 guys, the multiple hopgasms had me crying. I'm coming home from the Atlanta airport. I fixed planes for Delta. Praise God I wasn't listening while I was at work for all of our safety. Y'all are great. So the insight into Hoppy's love life is life-changing. Keep it up, fellas. Let's beat the frogs.
Yeah. Got a problem on Delta 106.
That is true. I mean, he's in there with a ratchet trying to fix an engine. He's laughing all of a sudden. We got a problem with the hydraulic fluid.
Yeah.
P1 Jason in Dallas is in. Hey, guys, I'm glad I lived up to the hype, but I feel bad for making Tony commit a window violation. I knew Tony was tall, but didn't realize he was that tall. Obviously, everyone's tall compared to me. But it made me wonder if they modify your travel accommodations or if you guys are just on commercial planes like us normies. I sat next to Anna Dodson, a UCLA volleyball player coming back from Phoenix a few months ago. She was booked in a normal seat, but the seat next to me in the exit row was open, so they let her move up. The website lists her at 6'5". There's no way she's any shorter than 6'10". She got up to go to the bathroom and had to duck her head just standing up in the aisle. While sitting down, her knees went past my ankles. Had to be uncomfortable. We shorties have it good. Couple of tidbits from the game. Taj Alston got hit in the face with a tortilla from the student section during the final minutes of the game. In response, he and Dante were motioning to the students to come on down to the field. I'm sure that response is discouraged, but I was kind of hoping the students would oblige because that would have been a bigger ass whipping than they gave us. The student section mockingly sang Country Roads. Must be sad to be so impoverished that you can't have your own song. Let's go Frogs.
You know what? I don't like that, but you get drilled.
Yeah.
Kind of goes with the turf, frankly.
In football, we travel just in a regular plane. In basketball, you got a lot of room.
Do you?
Oh, yeah. Different plane. We fly a regular plane for football, 737 regular. In basketball, every seat's first class.
Is it?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's nice.
P1 Darren in Beckley, longtime listener, first-time texter. I decided to go hunting for a relaxed evening on Tuesday, get to my blind, and thought I'd listen to you knuckleheads for some entertainment.
Darren has land.
Oh, everyone's got land. Yeah. Everything was great until the 46th minute of the podcast, when everything went off of the rails, when Gail from Martinsburg texted about the cows. While I'm trying to remain quiet in my chuckles, I got choked up, and needless to say, my choking and laughter ruined my chance of getting a buck. Then, when you clowns started talking about cow insemination, Scope's lack of compensation for unauthorized quotes, and hopgasms or lack thereof, I could not contain my laughter. Anyway, I have included a picture of, you guessed it, a kangaroo picture for Hoppy, Hops Ale. I thought, why should Hoppy get all the money from the deal? So I thought a Three Guys version of Hoppy's Hop Ale with scopes and spreads was appropriate. I hope you like it.
So we're in the pouch.
Yeah. Maybe, listen to stupid Taylor over there. Maybe one day we could get back to the times when talking about West Virginia football makes us feel better than laughing at you guys. I love this stupid podcast, especially the live version. Stupid Hoppy.
Strong. Good job, Darren. That was strong.
That's
You're in the pouch there for those of you watching. Senator, you're in the pouch.
I see it. You are too.
Yeah, I am.
my boys. There's my boys there.
Uncle Hoppy bringing us around in his pouch. Thought the podcast was live.
Stupid
Well,
podcast.
Stupid podcast.
Think Hoppy's beer should be a sister beer to the Stumptown Ale product. Call it occasional hopgasms and have it be a seasonal release around Valentine's Day. I have
hours research and stuff. We show up on a
I know.
kangaroo.
Like I'm trying to give you some Max Duggan stats. I got a picture of a kangaroo with my head on it.
Got to send a picture of him. Kercheval kangaroo.
Talking about Quentin Johnston, so we show up in a pouch of a kangaroo.
Got a big kangaroo.
You were on 60 Minutes. Now you're on the face of a kangaroo.
And that's what I'll.
You were inducted into the Hall of Fame this week. Now you're in a pouch in a. You're not even the face of the kangaroo. You're in a damn pouch. Went into the Hall of Fame. Second one of the year for him, Kercheval.
That's right.
Highlights. He's showing up in the pouch, not even the face.
And that's your legacy. That's your legacy.
My legacy should be inside of a kangaroo
What
pouch.
are we doing?
That'd be your obit picture.
Former intern in my office is the GM of the Giants. I'm in a picture of a kangaroo. Stupid podcast.
Yeah, we peaked early.
Oh,
Peaked
never going to
early,
see
man.
800. I'll tell
Go
you
ahead.
that
Sorry,
much.
I didn't mean to interrupt the flow there. There we are. Proud moment.
Think Hoppy's beer should be a sister beer to the Stumptown Ale product. Call it occasional hopgasms and have it be a seasonal release around Valentine's Day. I haven't laughed that hard in a long time. Ryan in Morgantown, formerly Rhyming Ryan.
Welcome back, Ryan.
Awesome, dude. Good to have you back. We had thought, something bad happened.
Welcome back.
Yeah.
Welcome back with a good one, too. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Because those seasonal
Valentine's
releases are big in the IPA world, aren't
Yes,
they?
well, any kind of craft beer, you can do a seasonal. Yeah. What are you laughing about?
You sound very knowledgeable right there. Yes,
Well,
of course, of any time of year. You can
I
have a
just
seasonal
had a
release
meeting
of beer.
meeting on your behalf this morning without you
Well,
knowing
you've been
it.
meeting. What's happening? You meet like once a week.
We talk about things because when we come out, it's going to be nice. Not jacking around.
Do you need my wife to do the art, or you got somebody else?
Yeah,
doing it?
no. Your wife will do the art. We're just figuring we got literally.
Now we got the kangaroo picture. We got to. We have some options to choose from.
Sweetness. Scopes, spreads, and Hoppy from Down Under. I love the show. I'm a podcast-only listener, but after the last show, I watched the video feed, and I'm not sure I'll go back to audio only. There's nothing like seeing you all lose it when Corky the Clown or a kangaroo is mentioned. Non-football related question. How can I get a copy, signed preferably, of where could you go? If I could find one, I'd love to have you all three sign it. Greg from Virginia, by the way, of McDowell County. So he's referring to the book I wrote. They're all gone, man. I'm sorry.
All gone?
They're done.
You promised a sequel.
I do want to write another one. Yeah. I apologize, but they're gone for now. I guess they say you could right? You could do a second printing.
You could do sure, you could do as many printings as you want. Then people will want to say, I want a first edition of that book.
Texter, 3 guys. WVU clearly needs a sign this game this week. TCU will produce a different result than what occurred at Texas Tech. While driving home to Putnam County, I had the pleasure of seeing the memorial site of the Powell Mountain Goat on Route 19 just north of Summersville. I realized the original Powell Mountain Goat departed this earth a few years ago, but I feel somewhat optimistic when I saw the memorial. There it is.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
There's the memorial to the Powell Mountain Goat.
Is that real? What am I?
Oh, yeah, it's real, Hop.
That's not the real goat. That's the memorial.
That's a memorial to the goat?
That's been erected on Route 19.
Really there?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's there for real. Texter says West Virginia beats TCU 32-31.
Hey, Tony, unrelated to what happens on the field, I mean, this is a big weekend. This is homecoming. And there are a lot of folks, if they come to one game a year, it's homecoming, and there are all kinds of events associated with homecoming. There's like Mountaineers from previous years are coming back. And this would be really nice just to have a win associated with that. It just is. I mean, I don't get a chance to take part of homecoming, but as a WVU grad, you have the young grads and the old lads, and it's a neat weekend. And there'll be a special halftime show, and you'd like to see those people get something for their effort in coming back to town. Brad, you were in marketing at sports marketing for years, and homecoming's different than other games.
Would be a nice time to get a big win.
Would.
I'll leave it there.
Next text I like. Textual healing and wind therapy were desperately needed after last Saturday's game. I was fortunate enough to get both at the same time. Let's pay our attention to the monitor. So this is a gentleman on the George Washington Parkway. And if you look at that monitor, and you can't see it because it's just not good, he's listening to 3 guys, and it says 3 guys before the game on that monitor.
Oh, nice.
So while he was driving, he had the wind and he had textual healing, and there you go. Thank you very much for listening. Keep both hands on the handlebars. Be safe.
Was he stopped
out there.
in that picture, I hope?
No, he's driving. Or someone from the back of the cycle shot.
Be safe. Be safe out there.
Thirsty Sean in Florida writes, I know that the Hoppy line of beers has not even been brewed yet, but in your future business meetings, don't forget to talk about distribution. If you can get Iron City here in Florida for transplanted Pittsburghers, I see no reason why native West Virginians shouldn't have access to Hoppy's beer. And maybe you could even package a 6-pack with 6 pepperoni rolls, kind of like an adult Hoppy Happy Meal. I'm sure my fellow Mountaineers down here would love it.
Yeah. I mean, if they had a big event there with, to watch a game, if West Virginia was in a bowl game, we could dispatch Taylor with a van of the Hoppy beer.
Oh, yeah.
Just sell it out of the van. Sell it out of the van.
Yeah, sell it out of the back.
Texter says history will tell you.
A food truck, but a Hoppy beer truck.
Exactly. Probably no liquor violations there.
No, I'm sure not. I think you can do that.
Yeah. There's a whole deal. You can't sell pepperoni rolls in New York State because of the pepperoni and a whole
the pepperoni, big pepperoni lobby has it.
Yeah, they got really? Agriculture. It's like a processed.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Something like that. History will tell you that when TCU comes to Morgantown, they either get run off the field, 2016, 18, and 20, or they win by a single point in controversial fashion, 12 and 14. However, logic tells me that the former will not happen this week, so if West Virginia wins, it'll have to be in a tight shootout. On to basketball. Up until a few weeks ago, I really didn't have any optimism for the season. I thought they would be better, maybe a bubble team. However, after hearing Huggs completely change his mind on the portal after just a few practices, I started to gain a little optimism. This team must be really getting after it in practice. But after hearing he got teed up in the secret scrimmage, I'm now convinced this is a Sweet 16 team at a minimum. We'll see.
I'd take that right now.
What?
Without playing the season, Sweet 16. If you told me this was going to be a Sweet 16.
Yeah. I would take a bid. I would take a bid.
To what?
To just getting in the tournament.
Well, there's several tournaments, NCAA tournaments. Okay, I didn't.
Yeah, I would take just getting in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, okay.
Because that would mean what? 20 wins?
Nowadays, even
might need more.
20 doesn't guarantee it nowadays. Yeah. Scotty from Milton. Hey, guys, couple things. Dad and I heading out to Colorado on a hunting trip, made our first stop in Lawrence, Kansas, hit a small barbecue joint from the hotel. Wow. The brisket and fried pickles were awesome, but the burnt ends, fantastic. Wearing my flying WV, of course. Came down for breakfast in the lobby. Guy says, you from West Virginia? Yeah, sure am. They are from Pineville, and they know my in-laws.
Of course they do.
Always a West Virginia connection.
Of course they do.
Wow. Hey, guys, Randy in State College. After the Texas Tech game, I started feeling sorry for myself and all of Mountaineer Nation. We're a loyal fan base and deserve better. I've been riding this roller coaster since I was a freshman more than 40 years ago. There have been some very high highs and some low lows. I'm feeling pretty low about now. I started thinking about nice guy coaches that have had significant success, big bowls, more than one, warm and fuzzy guys that are not only loved by their fan base, but be respected by their opponent's fan base. Guys like Frank Beamer, Dabo Swinney, Andy Reid of the Chiefs. I'm struggling to name many more. It's easy to come up with a list of successful coaches from the other end of the spectrum. Guys like Harbaugh, Saban, Belichick, Knoll, Schembechler, Hayes, Brian, Kelly. I'd put Huggs and Rich Rod on that list. I could easily come up with 50 more. Who am I missing from the nice guy list, and why do you think it's easier for the hard guys to have success? I love the show.
Brad?
Bobby Bowden.
Bobby Bowden, great guy.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I'm trying to think.
I don't know. I'd have to think about that.
That would take some time.
Frank Signetti.
Yeah.
Good guy.
Yep.
Late Frank Signetti.
Trying to go down the list.
Mac. How about Mac?
McFarland Brown's a good guy, right? A good dude?
Don't know him.
Tony, how about Mac McPherson?
Oh, Dick McPherson's a great guy. Yeah, he's a really good guy. Donnie, this guy didn't put Donnie N on there.
Yeah, Donnie N.
Now, Donnie N morphed because, like they say, when he first came here, like kids would go down the other side of the aisle when he was coming down. Like our Jeff Jenkins, who was a student manager.
Yeah.
He
ran away from him.
He said, like, when he would see Nealon, like, coming down the hall, and then known as the facilities building, like, you'd go to the other opposite wall and hug it tight, or you just, like, turn and go, like, the other way. Because, like, one time he said, I think he was walking down the hall, and Don's walking by, and, like, there was, like, a teeny little, like, a piece of chewing gum wrapper or something on there, and, like, Don, like, where did that wrapper come from?
Lost his mind.
Lost his mind. But then he just, Anyway, Jared finishes by saying this. I shout out to our guy, Don Brake, who lost his year-plus battle with cancer this week. Fan of the show, lifelong Mountaineer fan, Morgantown native, longtime radio personality all across the Northeast, always represented, and was proud of West Virginia wherever his travels took him. Yeah, I heard that. Eric McGuire, in fact, told me that Don Brake passed away, and it was so sad to hear that. I remember Don was here in Morgantown, and then he went to Texas, and year and a half battle with cancer. So our sincere condolences. He's young, man. He's young. To Don and his family. Texter, hey guys, Brian from Williamstown. Given how poorly the team played at Tech and with the injury bug hitting just about every aspect of this team, where's the hope this week? For the love of God, give us some hope.
Hey, speaking of injuries, and that was a long list by Neil Brown, and Brad and Tony, you guys would know better, but I was looking at, I don't think TCU's had many injuries. I looked at their starting lineup defense. I think that all the same guys.
Well, that's what happens when teams have good seasons.
I mean, when you're having a good season, yeah.
That's part of why you're having a good season, right?
You're good, no significant injuries, and the most significant injury got replaced by a guy who's doing better than the first guy, and you're getting turnovers, you're +6. So, I mean, things are lining up for them.
And the other teams are getting the injuries.
Right,
all of their injury news has been from the other team.
Brian's text continued.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I thought it was over.
That's fine.
See, because you don't have a proper break in the page.
Yeah, I didn't want to waste paper because I'm all about the environment. He closes by saying, also, on the plus side, you guys just losing it all the time over the dumbest things is great, especially after a tough loss. As a psychologist, I can officially vouch for talking and laughing being the best form of therapy. Shows after losses shouldn't be much of a recap and more of just the Jimmy V therapy session of laughing and crying. Brad said he came out better than he went in that day, so there you go. Keep it up, fellas. I loved the free therapy session.
So now we have a professional opinion that we're not just goofy guys.
No.
Well, we are, but that the goofiness may help.
Okay.
I think that's probably a better way to say that, right?
Yeah.
He didn't absolve us from being clowns and goofs.
hosted a local radio talk show.
He's very well known.
There may be some
A man
value.
in
The guy,
Town, West Virginia. A man named Hoppy.
What's great, everybody, is these guys don't have headphones on, so they didn't start that song yet. They didn't know.
What?
I can tell my Hoppy story now. Oh, yeah, you got a story about me? Yeah, what's up with Hoppy? I can't believe it.
Time to take this show on the road. We apologize for the situation that took place in the middle of the program between Hoppy and Brad.
Pretty serious disagreement there.
What do you have to apologize for?
It makes people uncomfortable. I don't think they like that as much.
So does his hopgasms, but we still talked about it. You think that didn't make people uncomfortable?
Yeah, really good
It did.
point.
Everybody was kind of like,
Part of what you get, you're going to come in being a little uncomfortable on this.
Hoppy encourageable.
Part of the deal.
You
may walk over.
You're gonna limp back. All right, man. We're back on Monday. Ooh. Just
What?
got this text here
Yeah.
from the text line.
because it's live. I told you it was live. I told you the show was live. How else would you get this text?
How about this? Two customers who bought $6 worth of Barilla pasta are suing Barilla for alleged deceptive marketing after they learned that the products were not made in Italy. They were made in the United States. So they're going to sue them.
Going to file a lawsuit.
I went to
Going
Barilla
to court.
wanted a fettuccine, found out it was made in St. Louis. Thought it was made in San Remo. Guy comes in, the rigatoni.
I'm flattered in
Damn rigatoni made in Des Moines.
I think I am. You know, it's better than being ignored.
Respect. You make good rigatoni in Des Moines.
You haven't seen The Bear, right? The show The Bear, which is about this guy cooking in Chicago, but there's a San Marzano tomato reference in there.
Oh, yeah. It's big. I mean, I think we started that. I think we started the whole thing. All right, our music's over. Three guys before the game will return.
So it wasn't live. I mean, that was not. I thought you got a text.
I did too.
Jeff
A little
Jenkins.
false advertising about him.
No. Jeff Jenkins, I talked with him. You know Jeff, he works down in Charleston.
I'm aware of Jeff Jenkins.
The guy that you've been muling for 40 years. Anyway, he said he thinks sometimes, because he listens when he runs in the morning, and he said, man, you guys crushed Hoppy. And I went like, yeah. I go, can you believe how dumb he is thinking that thing is live? He goes, Jeff always got to find the bright spot. He goes, I think he just plays with you guys a lot of times and pretends. I go, nah, he wasn't pretending. He wasn't pretending anything. I mean, he clearly, he goes, no, getting old, getting clueless, doesn't know.
No, I thought it was because I thought you would. Well, never mind. I don't want to dig into it. When you find yourself in a hole, stop digging.
Three guys before the game brought to us by Comax Business Systems, full service Konica Minolta dealer. Go to Comax Business Systems at comaxwv.com. And by the Burdett Camping Center, the only warranty forever RV dealer in all of West Virginia. Visit them at burdettcamping.com.
How many T's?
2 next to each other. And the X on Comax is by itself. Again, the Burdett promo this week is you get $200 for every quarter West Virginia wins against TCU. If you're coming in for homecoming and for the weekend, basketball Friday night at 7 p.m. Gates open 5:30. And football high noon. And then we're back Monday to talk about it. Three guys before the game, produced by Jonathan Taylor County, Tyler
Tucker,
County, Marion County, Wetzel
Tecumseh,
County, Hancock County.
Tegucigalpa. It's the capital of Honduras.
Out there, old Taylor, John Jingleheimer Smith. All right, see you out.